This is Python's Paradise. This is your host, Greg Gilbert, aka the Python Hyena, straight out of Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada. And folks, here we are on February the 13th, 2023. And I have a four-time guest on the show with me today, the director of Reunion from Hell's Parts 1 and 2. Folks, I give you Hayden Newman. How do you do, Hayden?
I'm good. How are you?
I am doing phenomenal. Well, except for technical difficulties with Zoom on the laptop, but got to get
Hey,
my brother to look at that. And I got you
yeah,
on here on my phone, so it's working fine with me.
exactly. We all have the technical difficulties from time to time, so we make it work.
Yeah, it just sucks when that happens.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, yeah. Anyway, you got two Reunion from Hell movies under your belt now. I got one of them here on Blu-ray. I got to get that second one, you know. So I guess this is kind of jumping ahead, but what what's your plans now? Are you going to do a third Reunion from Hell?
That's the question. That's the million-dollar question. We premiered last month in Nashville, Tennessee, and we did a Q&A, and that was the first question we got. At this moment, there are treatments being thrown around. I have said, because I feel that we wrapped the story up with two.
Mm-hmm.
But there are avenues we could go for a three, but I've said that three would be the final. If we did it, would be the final one of this franchise. I will not go past three.
So we're not going to get part four, the final chapter, part five, a new beginning, and so on
No,
and so forth. No, you're not going to do that.
no.
I wanted to see Reunion from Hell in space.
Uh, yeah, that would have been fun.
Oh, well, you managed to assemble a lot of the Nightmare on Elm Street folks for Reunion from Hell 2.
Hmm.
Talk about making that ensemble.
Well, the way Lisa Wilcox got involved was, Kathy Podwell from Night of the Demons played the role in the first film, and she was originally scheduled to return, and some family medical issues happened, and she could not return. And at that point, I already had the first draft of two written, and when she told me she couldn't return, I was like, well, I'm going to rewrite the entire script.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, no, you're not. This is an amazing script. Um, you have my blessing to recast the role. And me and her went back and forth on that for a while. I did not want to recast the role. And finally, me and my producers sat down and we talked about it. And finally, I was like, okay, if I'm going to recast the role, it has to be somebody that favors Kathy enough, that it's believable, that it's the same character 2 years later, and is talented enough to step into that role. And that's where Lisa Wilcox came in. And I contacted Lisa via email and told her, I told her up front, I said, this is a recast. I said, I know, Nightmare on Elm Street 4 has that famous recast with Tuesday Night. And
That
she,
that was confusing, I gotta say, very confusing.
yeah.
And
And
yeah.
so she was making the joke. She was like, so I'm the Tuesday Night. I was like, well, no. I was like, you favor Kathy enough. It's believable. Um, she said, well, send me the script and send me the first film. So I sent her the first film, sent her the script, and within 48 hours, she came back and said she wanted to jump on the film. So that's how Lisa got involved. And then the way Mark Patton got involved was me and Lisa were on the phone one night, and several known actors were up for this role. Tom Matthews at one point was going to take the role, but scheduling wise, it was not going to work out. And so I was like, who am I going to put in this role? And she suggested Mark. She was like, have you ever thought of working with Mark Patton? And I was like, yeah, but I don't know that he would work with me. She said, well, contact him, email him, send him the script, tell him I'm involved. Within 48 hours, he came back and said, let's do it. And I think that's because he loved the script and he absolutely loved the character. But also he was getting a chance to work with Lisa Wilcox because they had known each other, through the Nightmare train for so many years. And then the way Danny Hassel got involved was me and Danny were doing a convention in Virginia Beach, Virginia. It was the Tidewater Horror Convention. And Danny was my neighbor the whole weekend. So we kind of hit it off. And we were outside talking one night, having a couple of drinks. And if you ever talk to Danny, Danny's the most laid back, easygoing California boy you would ever meet. And he knew that Lisa had signed on at that point. Mark was in contract negotiations, but he knew that Mark was pretty much signed on. And I asked him, I said, would you ever consider working with me? And his exact words was, I thought you would never ask. So his role was specifically written for him. It was not a character that was in the first draft of the script. So that is how the Nightmare alumni, all three, came together for this film.
Perfect. It's interesting because Mark Patton, it's especially after he did the documentary, he was kind of away from everything. What was it like for him to just step into this?
Mark first of all, Mark is one of the sweetest people you will ever meet. And I have such high respect for him. You've seen the documentary, what he went through. But he came onto the set and he was ready to go. I mean, it was like he never stopped and he was excited. And I mean, he was very excited about it.
Perfect. Well, you're returning as well. And I got to say, that was a big thing with me in the first film, because I know I mentioned this to you before. I was very skeptical when you were playing the lead because I was like, is he going to suck?
Yeah.
It turned out you were really freaking good.
Thank you.
I'm going to tell you, I was pretty impressed coming away from that, thinking, Hayden actually knocked this out of the park, and you did.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, with 2, like I said, it picks up 2 years after the events of the first film. And, the first film ended on this huge cliffhanger. And I like to say the returning characters in 2, although one of them was recasted, we're all more mature than what we were in the first film. Riley is a very different character. He kind of got his resolution at the end of 1 in a way. But Riley is still dealing with, the fallout of the events from the first film. Laurel we're all doing our best to move on.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not a mess trying to do it. I think we all kind of appreciate life a little bit more after the events of 1. So
there you go. And I know that another addition to the cast, you had Lydia Manson in this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Lydia was amazing. Her character, originally Lydia was casted to play a very small role. And what happened was the girl who was casted in the role Lydia ended up playing, she just didn't work out. It just wasn't going to work out. And I went to Lydia and I was like, would you want to step into this role? And she was like, yes. And uh, Lydia has gotten great reviews for the film, that she fits perfectly into the best friend, because she's Riley's new best friend. She fits perfectly into that role with that sassiness, kind of, if you think of Rose McGowan and Scream, that kind of sassiness. She did a phenomenal job. I'm very proud of Lydia in this film.
Okay. Now, I also know that you got the Hag Witch coming up, of course. Anything more you got to say about that?
Well, they are still, see, with the Hag Witch, I'm on the back burner on that one. I'm not the director. I'm an assistant on that one, but they are still working on fundraising for that one. They are doing a film right now called Redhead. I don't know if you've seen any of that going around. I actually leave next month to go film my portion of that movie. It's if you that movie, it's along the lines of I Spit on Your Grave.
Ah, okay.
Um, Again, that's a Sam Hodges film. He asked me to play this specific character, and I was honored to be asked. So I'm not a lead, but I'm like, I guess, a supporting character. So that's fun. But yeah, I leave to go do that in March, and then in April, me and Danny Hassel, who, we had the premiere in Nashville, Tennessee. Well, we're returning to Nashville in April because the people who hosted the premiere has a convention every year, the Full Moon Horror Tattoo convention, and me and Danny are both guests at that convention. So we're returning to Nashville in April. And then it's kind of just right now we're going the, submitting this film festival route with Reunion 2. The reviews for 2 have been, I mean, they've blown me out of the water. We knew we had something special filming it. 2's a completely different movie than 1. We definitely upped the body count and the gore factor, that famous line from Randy and Scream 2, if you're going to do a sequel, more blood, more gore. Yeah, it's we definitely did that. And one of the reviews, and this really blew me away, was 2 was the Empire to A New Hope, which,
Okay.
yeah, which, everybody seems to love an Empire Strikes Back more than the first Star Wars. I mean, the first one obviously is a classic, but everybody is really loving the sequel, and our current score on IMDb right now is 9 out of 10.
Oh, great.
Yeah. And that blew me away too when I saw it. I was like, I didn't even know people could score it yet because we had not officially released. And I guess the people who came to the screening event was able to go out there and rate it. So, but two's a very, very different movie. And what I mean by that is, with 2, we've kind of all moved on with our lives, and it's still there, the events of 1, but we're trying, like I said, we're trying to make the best out of life. And it's Christmas time, of course, and we're in a cabin on a mountain in the middle of nowhere. And you know it's got a lot of the Black Christmas
Oh,
POV.
love it. Yeah.
We're being stalked, we have no idea shots. We're just enjoying our time together, and then once everything comes to fruition and we realize what is going on and that it's happening again, we don't have time to process it. We are put into that position. Well, it's time to kill or be killed, basically.
Mhm.
So, and it all comes to a fruition on Christmas Eve night, and that's when we realize what's going on. That's when the film really flips, and it's definitely just the shots, and I'm sure you've seen the trailer. The backdrop of being in the mountains and everything. It's beautiful, beautifully done.
Now, is there any pressure for you, not just as a director and writer, but to do the whole Woody Allen starring in it as well? Is there any pressure on you to do that?
Um, there wasn't so much in one. Oddly enough, there wasn't, even though people were questioning it. But returning for two, it was a little bit more pressure because one, Kathy was not returning, and I did not have that working relationship with Lisa yet. You know, Kathy plays my character's mom in the first film, and we had already built that connection. Um, so I was nervous. I was very nervous about that, how it was going to play off. Were we going to, work well together? And luckily, we worked amazingly well together. The very first scene we shot together was an I don't want to say a very emotional scene. It was an emotional scene, but not very, where we're talking about the events of one, and it's just my character and her character. And I'm sure you remember at the end of one, she had to make a very hard choice. And after we shot that scene, I was like, okay, I'm comfortable now. But that was the most pressure on two for me, was a new actor stepping into the role.
Yeah. No, you mentioned the Elm Street movies. I'm going to tell you, it confused me when Tuesday night came into Nightmare on Elm Street 4. And it's like, Patricia Arquette, the previous one. It, I still, kind of get lost in that.
I think it confused everybody, I remember the very first time I saw Nightmare 4, and I'd seen Nightmare 3 prior. And, it opens with this blonde girl walking down the street, and then she says her name's Kristen. And I'm like, what? No, you're not Kristen. But yeah, it was very confusing. I think it was confusing for a lot of people. I know that Ken Sagos and Rodney Eastman have said that first scene with all three of them back together, that it was hard for them to do that scene because they had went through the previous film with Patricia. So it was, they have both went on record and said they would have loved to have seen what that scene would have been had Patricia returned.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it is, and I will say that it is very difficult when you go through a previous film with one actress or actor, and then you go into the next film and it's a recast. And that's why the pressure was on me. I was like, are we going to have that? Is it going to feel the same? And once we got through that first scene, I was 100% comfortable. Up until we shot that first scene, I was a nervous wreck. And me and Lisa had phone conversations, and 3-hour long phone conversations, but I had never met her in person until she got on set.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I was definitely nervous. And like I said, once we got through that first scene, I was like, okay, this is going to work. Because the character obviously is written differently in the second film based off the events of the first. And Lisa did not play the role like a carbon copy of how Kathy played it.
Mm-hmm.
Me and Lisa worked together on that of, her going through the script and saying, well, I think she would say it this way, or, we worked together in that aspect. And, I basically was like, I don't want you to do what Kathy did. I want you to make the character your own. And that's what she did. She made the character her own. And, you know, recast happened all the time. I mean, especially on TV shows and, all of that. But I was lucky and I was very adamant when I finally decided to recast the role that the actors had to be talented enough and looked as close to Kathy as possible. So
There you go. Now, you mentioned there's a higher body count.
mhm.
What are the kills like in this?
I don't want to give anything away. I will say this killer is very sadistic and very brutal. And the deaths are there's death scenes that there's behind the scenes photos that when we were shooting them, I was cringing watching them being shot. But then as we were editing, just watching it, I mean, it was just so disturbing. And that was the fun thing in the audience when we did the preview. We all, as the cast and crew, sat in the back of the theater to watch how the audience would react, and the gasp and the screams, and then we, especially with two, and I think that's another thing about this film, we were able to get comedy in there where it's not campy, but it's where it was supposed to fit. So we got the laughs and we got the screams, and then the gasp that came out when it was revealed who the killer or killers is in this film. I was like a kid on Christmas morning. I was like, yes, we got them. And I talked to everybody after the film, and they were like, we had no idea. We took them for a ride and kept twisting and twisting and turning as to who is doing it. And I was like, we really got them. We really got them this go around. So that was a lot of fun.
Until you kick their ass, right?
Well, I can't say whether or not Riley makes it through to.
He's got to.
There is, of course, a big final showdown.
And you survive.
I can't say. I may or may not.
Listen, I'm demanding that you survive. I praised your performance in that first one. I'm expecting it to be good in this one. You got to be in the third one. I'm sorry, I'm rewriting it. If you die in it, it's being rewritten automatically.
I will say this. The funny thing was when we rented the location to shoot, we knew it was because we knew it had to be secluded, a cabin in the mountains. What the owner failed to tell us was the cabin was literally on top of the mountain. We were on the very top of the mountain. So, and we got snowed in a couple of times while we were filming. And it was, once you got up there, the road to get up there was so scary. It was like you were going up this dirt road, it was awful, but the location was perfect. Danny Hassel likes to say instead of summer camp that we were at winter camp for the duration of the shoot. And we really were. I mean, we had dinner together every night, and that's another prop to Lydia, and she's gotten the credits on the film for that. She did a lot of the cooking, and she's a very good cook, very good cook. We had breakfast in the morning, and then something for lunch, and then we usually had something, a meal that you could easily cook for a lot of people, like spaghetti or that kind of stuff. And we had dinner together every night, and then once we went into night shoots, because the whole last half of the film is all night, we were working till 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and then getting back up at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the morning to get some of the day scenes shot, especially with like Lisa and Danny, because we only had them on set for so long. So kind of what we did with Lisa and Danny and Mark was we did all their day stuff first, as much as we could, and then went into the nights. It was a lot of fun. Obviously, there was no kind of drama on set or anything like that. We all got along, and a lot of funny memories from that set. I remember me and Lisa were shooting a scene, and my character, we set up the shot. My character is walking down the stairs, and she's supposed to be coming from the back, from the kitchen. So, they call action. I'm coming down the stairs, and she walks out with a bottle of tequila. And she was like, "Here you go." And I'm like, that wasn't scripted. What is she doing? And we all busted. She was playing a joke. We all busted out laughing, but it threw me off for a minute. I'm like, okay, I'll keep going with it. Guess you're giving me tequila at 10 o'clock in the morning. It was definitely a lot of fun. And then what's really funny is back in October, I was a guest at Scarefest in Lexington, Kentucky, and most of the Nightmare on Elm Street forecast was there. And Toy Newkirk, who played Sheila in Nightmare on Elm Street 4, the character that had asthma, she was like, "So you're gonna have me in 3, right?"
Oh, that's awesome.
So I mean, we all, we became a family on that film, definitely. There was none of the drama that went down during the making of the first film, or any of that. So yes, but the kills in this film, the story, everything is amped up from we took it from 50 to 150. So it's an amped up film, and with the backdrop of Christmas and the Christmas lights, and I was very adamant. Of course, I love a good Christmas horror film, but a majority of them, the killers are wearing Santa Claus outfits. I was like, we're not doing that, no. And then the mask, which, as people have fallen in love with that mask, and on the Indiegogo, we sold all 3 of the Screen News copies. It was a handmade mask. The person was molded, all of that to get the mask made. And that mask is utterly terrifying. And there's behind the scenes photos of all of us with that mask on playing with it. But once the camera started rolling, it was not hard to react to that mask at all.
So what do you got coming up after
Well,
this? Yeah.
like I said, I've got Redhead in March, and
Who's all going to be in Redhead?
well, they've got a very huge cast. They casted a lot out of the area they're from,
Mm-hmm.
so I don't know a lot of them.
Who's the filmmaker?
Sam Hodge is my co on both films, and my cinematographer and everything. This is his film, and the trailer actually drops tomorrow, I think, with the footage they have already shot. But like I said, that film is very much revenge. A woman has been a lot along the lines of I spit on your grave, but not as graphic as I spit on your grave, I guess you can say. It's still graphic, but the revenge is different from what it was on I Spit on Your Grave.
Okay. And anything else you got coming up?
Well, after that, like I said, I have that convention in April, and then we're working on film festivals, and I'm working on treatments, or like I said, throwing around ideas for a 3, because everybody seems to want one, which I guess is not a bad thing at all. But my huge concern right now, my major concern, is getting 2 out in the film festival circuit, and going from there. 2 is still, even though the film is finally finished, is still my main concern. Obviously, as a filmmaker, is now okay. It's done. Now it's time to get it out there for the world to see it. But that's it right now. I do want to say this about Mark Patton. The character he plays in the film, I based that character kind of off the Gale Weathers character in Scream. He is a reporter. He has made a lot of money off the story, covering the story of the events of the first film. And it was written, when I wrote it, I kind of envisioned the character being a little bit more serious. And he had us falling apart on set laughing. He is comic gold. When he delivered that first line in that first scene we shot, I was like, okay, that's how he's playing the character. He is definitely, and I mean, Lisa Wilcox even said this. He will be the one in all the reviews, the first one they talk about, because he is just eating this role up. And I mean, we were in between takes, busting out laughing at stuff he was doing. So Mark is phenomenal. Mark is a phenomenal. They're all phenomenal, but Mark he's ready to get back in his game. I will say that.
There you go. Well, I hope you have fun at the convention, when it comes up, and be able to sell your film and promote it more. And
Yeah, at every convention I've done, I cannot seem to bring enough copies of one with me. I sell out at every convention before Sunday even gets there.
you could have a Blu-ray of this one as well.
Yes. Yeah.
Perfect. I'm gonna have to order that.
But yeah, the every convention I've done, when I've obviously take copies of one with me, it's a 3-day weekend, and I'm like, okay, I need to take this many more copies with me. And by Saturday afternoon, they're all gone. So I'm like, okay. Like, I don't, you can never predict how many copies to take with you exactly.
No.
So, but no, this convention, I'm excited about because Nick Castle's going to be there, and I've always wanted to meet Nick. So I'm like,
think you'll get him in a movie?
I don't know, I'm excited that I'll get his autograph on my Halloween or my original Halloween piece that's signed by Jamie Lee. So I'm like, I'll get Nick on there now. I've got Jamie, the girls. Now I'll get Nick. But Nick's gonna be there. Lar Park Lincoln's gonna be there.
Oh, I love Lar.
Lar's very sweet, yeah. I met Lar when we did Scarefest back in October. Dee's gonna be there, Dee Wallace.
I've had her on the show and I've met her as well.
I've only met Dee once, but she was a complete sweetheart. Trying to think who else is going to be there. Bill Mosley will be there.
I met him.
Bill's hilarious, yeah. But William Catt's going to be there from Carrie.
Yep.
And that's just the names I can think right off the top of my head right now. So it's going to be a fun weekend. And whenever you get me and Danny Hassel together, it's hilarious. Like, we have a blast together, whatever we do. Like I said, Danny.
You gonna bring Lydia with you?
Well, I would love Lydia to come. I don't know if she's doing, I know she's getting ready to film a movie. I think next month. I don't know. I think she said next month when she's filming. I would love Lydia to come. That's a good idea. I need to talk to her about that. But I'm only allowed that. Yeah, it's funny how, and I learned this, once you start getting invited to conventions, you're only allowed to bring so many people with you, like to get in for free and be like,
Lydia is so many people.
Yeah. So yeah, I definitely need to talk to Lydia because I believe that this is her first film that she's done that has actually been seen by the public.
She's awesome. I've had her on here a couple of times,
Oh yeah, she is definitely awesome. I cannot say enough sweet things about Lydia, and to watch her in this film, I mean, I knew when we were filming it and we were playing off each other, but to watch her, I mean, take on to that sassiness of the protective best friend that has that sassiness to her, it was great.
What about what was I gonna say? Did you ever get the chance to work with Angel Brev?
I haven't. I met Angel once. I met her last year when I was doing the Carolina Fear Fest. So it's been almost a year. I've only met her once, and she came up and introduced herself to me, but I haven't got to work with her now.
Yeah, I like her.
Yeah, she seemed very nice. It's funny. I had this happen to me a couple of weeks ago. I went, I'm only an hour away from Atlanta, Georgia. So I went to the Days of the Dead in Atlanta, but as a regular person, I wouldn't sign in, nothing like that. But it amazed me as to the people that came up that I've met through the circles or, so and so that was like, are you signing this weekend? And I'm like, damn, I should have I should have done this convention because everybody here is wanting me to sign. But I got to hang out with Tamara that weekend, which was a lot of fun. Tamara Glenn. Um, we had a lot of fun that weekend. And then Heather, I cannot pronounce her name correctly. Her last name, Mozzarella. She was in Welcome to the Dollhouse and Scream 3 and this last one. She played Randy's sister. She had very small. She usually plays like sidekick.
Yeah, she was in Hostel too.
Yeah, she was in Hostel too. Yeah.
Yeah.
She is an extremely nice person. We had a lot of fun hanging out. And of course I got to see Heather Langenkamp, which is always fun. And that's what shocked me though, what I was getting to is I had two filmmakers that I guess through Facebook, come up to me when we were having dinner and introduced themselves. And one of them was Michael Levy from, the Terrifier film.
Oh, I've had him on here too. Yeah.
He came up to my table and was like, I've been watching your work. And he was like, I'm very impressed. He said, I saw a lot of the stuff you went through. He was like, I'm very impressed that you stuck with it and not got just one film done, but two. So he came and it just shocked me. I was like, geez, people, I guess I don't realize at the people that see all this stuff.
It's interesting to me because even with me, I initially pulled away from Reunion from Hell when things were going sideways with it, and then I came back to it, and I'm glad I did, and one thing I've noticed, and I can't say this for everybody, but you did turn the page and you pulled through very impressively. And it's really showing that, well, you had some rough beginnings with the first one with some of the drama going on. I think it's pretty safe to say that people can take you seriously, like I do.
Yeah. Well, that's, you learn. We're humans. We make mistakes. You live, you learn. And, I took everything I learned doing one and said, okay, the mistakes that were made, I know how they were fixed. That's not going to happen doing two. If I say I'm going to do something, it's going to be done 100%. I don't care what it takes. And I think that's shown to people because a lot of people, especially with the stuff that happened before one, thought it would never get done and thought, this and that. And no, and I'm proud of that. I'm proud that people saw that I meant every word I said, that it would get done one way or the other. And I feel so lucky to have it's been almost 3 years since we shot one.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel so lucky in those 3 years, to have been blessed to have worked with I guess I could say, legacy actors that I have worked with. If you'd have told me 3 years ago that I was going to do a movie with not just one Nightmare on Elm Street alumni in it, but three of them all in the same film, I'd have been like, you're crazy. There's no way.
Well, I could say the same thing about doing this podcast. Prior to 2015, if anybody was telling me that I'd be doing all these interviews with people from these movies, I would have told them they were nuts. Here I am, almost 10 years interviewing people from these movies. Pretty incredible.
It is. And I had a young, inspiring filmmaker. He was 13 at the time that I met him. I met him at Scarefest. He came to my table and had seen the first film and loved it. And, it was just very genuine. And I was like, that's why I do what I do. Because I know I touched at least one person. And he asked me, my advice. And, it's like, the best advice I can give you is the only person stopping you is you. And people will try their best to take you down. You just got to keep going. And it's hard. You have to have a thick skin. And he was just, it meant a lot to me to know that I've somehow inspired a future filmmaker. And I reached out to his mom because she was with him. I reached out to her mid-November. I said, hey, he just really touched my heart. And, we're having the premiere for 2 in January. And I asked her how far she was from Nashville. And she was like, we're only 2 hours away. I was like, oh, that's perfect. I said, I want to send him as a Christmas gift a personal invitation to the actual premiere with just the cast and the crew, nobody else. Because we did the premiere one night and then we did the fan screening the next night. And it blew him away that, I went out of my way and I remembered him to invite him to this premiere. But that's the kind of person I am, I want to give back, especially to people that are the fans, because without them, without people that listen to your podcast, without the fans that watch these films, we wouldn't be anything. They're who make us. So, and it happened to work out that not only was it a Christmas gift for him, the weekend we did the premiere was his birthday. So it's kind of, I surprised him with a birthday cake and, all of that, because me and his mom had been communicating. And this kid, he just really touched my heart. And I told Lisa and Danny about it and all the rest of the cast and crew that were there. Unfortunately, Mark was not there because Mark has been having a little bit of health issues. And, he lives in Mexico, and he just could not. He actually had another event that weekend and he had to cancel on it. He just could not make it. But still, it just, to see that smile on his face and to be like, oh wow, I'm at a premiere with Lisa Wilcox and Danny Hassel, because they're huge Nightmare on Elm Street fans too. That made it all worth it.
So so there was no way you'll go get Lisa Wilcox to jump out of a cake.
No. No. Now Danny probably would have done it. Danny had, I wouldn't put anything past Danny. But which is so funny to watch Danny and Lisa together. They're such different personalities. They're both great people, but they're very different personalities. Like I said, Danny is very much that California, probably was a surfer type laid back guy. And Lisa is, no, she's not all business, but Lisa's Lisa. I mean, she's a wonderful, wonderful woman. And but she doesn't get into, I guess, doing all the craziness that can happen at times. I guess that's the best way to put it.
There you go. Well, we look forward to the Hag Witch and Redhead, and Reunion from Hell, parts 3, parts 4, parts 5, parts 6.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is that it's funny you said that, because we did a Q&A at Scarefest for Reunion from Hell too, because I was there. A lot of the cast from that movie was there that weekend, so we did a Q&A, even though we showed footage from the film and all of that. And one of the questions we got was, of course, will there be a 3? And then the next question, and I said the same thing I told you, after 3, I was not going to do anymore. And they were like, you're not going to go to 22? And I'm like, no.
Oh, come on. Come on.
Um,
You gotta do a 10th one in space. Yeah.
That's kind of hard to do on an indie film. But
Look. I bet you could make it look better than what Jason X looked like, because that film looked like shit.
yeah. And I don't know if you know or not, this film, we had a band write an original theme song for it. They're a very 80s sounding band. They're called Fire Tiger. And since that song dropped, and they've been in the business, they're an indie band, but they've been performing for over 10 years. When that music video dropped, it has gotten the most views of any of their music videos that they had dropped in like over 6 years. It's a great song. So that was kind of weird, that Friday the 13th part 6 feeling of our Dream Warriors feeling. We have an official theme song to the movie, like the rock 80s sounding theme song. That was a lot of fun.
Okay. Well, you know what, Hayden, it was wonderful having you on here a 4th time, and hey, this worked out here. So
Yeah.
I had a 90-year-old film director on here earlier today, and Zoom. My brother texted me while you were talking to me, and he's gonna get this looked after. But I'm glad this worked out, because it means I got one half of the interviews done today, and
There you go.
Yeah, leaves me with at least a little satisfaction, so today. So that's awesome. So
There you go. And I will say, I cannot wait. Well, I can't wait for anybody to see too, but I can't wait for you to see too, because I think you're definitely going to be blown away. Which has been the consensus so far, that everybody that's seen it. So I'm very pleased about that.
awesome. Well, I look forward to it. Well, I appreciate you coming on here today, and of course, I'm going to ask you to do a plug for my show before we let you go.
Yes.
Yeah, you know what to say.
Anyone out there, listen to Python's Paradise with your host, Python.
Absolutely. And check out Hayden Newman with Reunion from Hell, and Reunion from Hell 2, and Reunion
Yes.
from Hell 3, and Reunion from Hell 4, the final chapter, and Reunion from Hell 5, a new beginning, and Reunion from Hell 2, Hayden Lives.
A New Blood, yeah.
New Blood, Hayden Takes Manhattan.
I did want to tell you before we got off of here, I know you've talked about the Doubtfire Challenge a lot, and that's a cause that means a lot to me. I have dealt with depression. I have lost friends to suicide. So within the next week, I'm going to do that for you.
I'll tell you what, would there be any chance? Because Lisa Wilcox has been nominated twice. Once by, who was it? Laura Kayoet from Kill Bill Volume 2, and Django Unchained even nominated her.
Well, I will reach out to Lisa and talk to her and tell her, because it's a cause I know it's very close to her as well. Me and hers had a lot of those conversations, so I'll talk to her and see what I can get done. I know Danny Hassel will do it in a heartbeat.
Perfect. Yes, because I'm trying to get the industry involved. Sandy Johnson did it on here, and her husband was dressed up as Michael
I
Myers.
saw it. Yeah.
And one of the people she nominated was Felissa Rose, and I showed it to Felissa at Frightmare in the Falls. And Felissa hasn't done it yet because she's like in every other movie every other day.
Felissa's either filming or she is at a convention. She does not stop. She's always somewhere.
But she did say yes, so.
Oh yeah, and if she says yes, she'll definitely do it. You may have to remind she may forget with everything she's got going on, but she'll do it. But yeah, I know Danny will do it. And I will talk to Lisa because, like I said, it's me and her's had those conversations, and it's a cause that's very dear to both of our hearts. And I'll see what I can get done.
Yeah, I'm trying to think who else.
Didn't Laura do it? I think I saw Laura did it.
Yeah. It wasn't Laura Kiowa. It was Laura Park Lincoln that nominated.
Okay. Yeah, I thought I saw that Laura had done it, done the challenge.
Yeah, because I definitely didn't have a lot of luck with it on 13 Fanboy, you know.
I'm not gonna say a lot about 13 Fanboy. I liked it, but there was how can I put this? There were certain things that I left feeling I wanted more, that I feel like they started a story or a character's journey, and then they just dropped it. Like it was gone. Like, what happened to this person? Other than that, I enjoyed the movie.
Yeah, I put 3K into it, and 2 people out of that movie kind of shit on the Doubtfire challenge. So
yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing is, I mean, I don't want to talk bad about anybody, but it amazes me how some people will act sometimes. I'll say that.
Yeah. No, yeah, I appreciate you accepting the challenge. That's wonderful. And yeah.
Yes. And I bet you more so I could get Kathy Podwell to do it too.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. Yeah. I haven't had Kathy Podwell on here yet. I did have Amelia Kincaid. She turned the challenge down, but
oh, she's so much fun. Kathy would be like, yeah, and it's a cause that I know. I mean, it's a cause that's dear to a lot of us because suicide and suicide awareness has affected everybody in some sort of way. And I mean, whether you deal with depression or somebody who has, I mean, there's no way to not be affected by it. And Kathy would do it in a heartbeat. Kathy is just, I will send you her email information. She won't have a problem with that at all, because so you can set up maybe an interview with her.
Sure, I could love that. Yeah.
Because Kathy, she is just absolute doll. You'll absolutely love her.
Well, you know what, Hayden? Thank you for bringing up the Doubtfire Face Challenge. I appreciate you being willing to do it. And yeah, nominate some of those Elm Street and all those other folks, and throw them into it. And as far as Lisa Wilcox goes, yeah, let her know Lar Park Lincoln nominated her. That Doubtfire challenge is right there on my playlist for it. So on YouTube. So
I will definitely.
Yeah.
Lars is on your YouTube.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I will forward that to Lisa too, to see she's been nominated.
Well, just go in the playlist where it says Doubtfire Face Challenge on YouTube, but it's got a list of all kinds of people that's done it.
All right.
Lara is one of them. So yeah.
All right. Yeah, I will definitely. I'll get Kathy's information to you, and I'll work on Lisa and Danny. Like I can tell Danny, I'll be like, I may even get Danny to do it while we're at the convention in April.
There you go.
You know, that
and,
would be a lot of fun.
and tell him to nominate 3 people because he'll know people to nominate too.
Oh, I can already tell you he's going to nominate more than likely Andros Jones.
I've had him on here. Yep.
Um, he'll probably nominate Brooke Thies, and Brooke would do it. Brooke is hilarious. I got to hang out with her at Scarefest, and she is just so much fun. She is hilarious.
Haven't
And
had her on here yet, but yeah.
and I don't know who else he would. I know he would at least the first person he will nominate is going to be Andros. I know that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But yeah, I will get that information to you and get with Lisa and within the next week, because I'm gonna have to, unless I figure out a way to film it myself, I'm gonna have somebody film it for me.
There you go.
But yeah, I will get it done and sent to you because I've heard you talk about it, and I think we've talked about it before, and it's something that, like I said, it means a lot to me. I'm not going to go into details or anything, but I lost a close friend to suicide right before we shot one.
I'm sorry.
So it was a lot of the emotions you saw in one was very real. I was able to pull off of that. So it's a very dear cause to me.
Lydia Manson also did it.
I'll have to go see. It's hers on your YouTube. I'll have to go watch it.
Oh yeah. Lydia did it. Yeah. She did it. That was fun. Nancy McGraw did it in front of props of Jason Lives,
But
I just wish Debbie Sue Voorhees, especially Judy Aronson. Judy Aronson really broke my heart with it, because I never even had her for a guest. But I don't want to keep beating a dead horse, but
yeah,
it's just I wish their response to it. I have no issue being turned down on it, but the way I was turned down by those two was very upsetting, so.
Which is, I don't know. Obviously, I don't know the situation, but I understand. I understand.
Yeah. So, but I have had a number of people out there that have done it. So, so yeah, had some really good people on there do it. So perfect.
Well, I will do what I can to get more people for you. So
there you go. There we go. Well, Hayden, thank you so much for coming on here. God bless you and best of luck to you. You've come a long way.
Thank you.
Yep, and I look forward to seeing where you go from here.
Well, I appreciate it 100%. Thank you for having me back on. It's always a fun time. Thank you for, your support and believing in me. And thank you. Just a big thank you.
I can't wait till Reunion from Hell X in space.
Oh, well, I mean, I will say this. There was only supposed to be 3 screams, and then it became 4, and then 5, and now they're fixing to do, or 6 is fixing to come out. So
yeah, but
you never know.
They got Jenna Ortega, so that's awesomeness.
Oh yeah, Jenna Ortega. I absolutely loved her in the last one. I can't wait to see her in this one because she's not going to be in a hospital the whole time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But they're. I'm sure. I don't know if you've seen the previews for this one. It's backdrop in New York, so they're in New York in this one.
Yeah, they're doing it in the 6th one instead of the 8th one.
Yeah.
They'll wait till the
So
next one and do telekinesis. Then they'll have
who
Scream.
knows?
Then they'll have Scream in Hell and Scream in Space.
Oh, there's no telling. There's no telling. So you can never say never. I'll say that. You can never say never. I mean, they thought what the final chapter was going to be the final Friday the 13th. We see how that went. So you never know.
Yeah. Well, that one had my favorite Jason in it. So there you go.
Oh God, yeah. Ted White was scary, like menacing, scary as Jason.
I had him on here twice. I was lucky to get 2 interviews out of him.
Yeah, I met him once, and he was an extremely, extremely nice man. And to hear the stories about his dislike for Corey Feldman when they were making the movie.
Well, he was the one that set me up with Judy Aronson, and for whatever friggin' reason, that didn't pay off. The person he knows and the person I ended up encountering was 2 different people. He knew
Yeah.
he knew Jekyll. I found Hyde. There you go.
I've come across some of those. You never know who you're gonna get. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yes. Like I said, you never know at the end of the day if there's an audience for it. I can't say that Riley will continue in every film.
Riley's going to be in space. He's going to be in hell. He's going to end up with telekinesis at some point. He's going to be in New York, and he might even climb out of the grave and live.
Well, my logic was when I tried to logically, and you can't be logical with these films. I tried to logically say how many times can one person or 2 people hold a grudge against one character enough to want to go on a killing spree,
and you got to have somebody named Roy impersonate you.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So I don't know. I'll never say never. I'll say that. I'll never say never.
There you go. Well, Hayden, thank you so much for coming on here. This was a lot of fun, and it made my day a lot better. I'm glad I got this interview done, and I know I can reschedule the other one, but this is great that I was able to, instead of going the rest of the day with 2 lost interviews, I got yours in, so I'm glad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. So yeah. But I will get all that information over to you.
Absolutely. You take care, and maybe next year around this time, we'll have you up for a 5th.
Yeah. You take care too.
All right. Take care. God bless.
God bless you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Stop this.